The USD 305 School Board, we are fine with you coming and standing in front of the executive team over here. If you need more room back there, you can move over to this side of the room. They don't mind you standing in front of them. All right, this meeting is the February 14th, 2023 School Board meeting. Happy Valentine's Day, and please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Oh, if you can. The next thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and we have an amendment to the agenda, an additional personnel report. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
And we also need to remove one of the executive sessions. We just need 2 executive sessions. I apologize.
That's all right, thank you. I think I knew that. So we are amending the agenda in 2 small ways. Do I have a motion?
Madam President, I move we approve the agenda as amended.
Dr. Landry and Mr. Grant has a second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the the agenda as amended, raise your right hands. Motion carried 7-0. Next on the agenda is the recognitions and presentations with Jennifer Kamian, starting with the You Make a Difference Award. Good evening.
By colleagues to receive a You Make a Difference Award for their support of students and the mission of Salina Public Schools. Board of Education members surprise recipients during the workday with a lapel pin and a handwritten note. Carla Lukowski, roving teacher at Coronado Elementary School. As roving teacher, Carla comes to school each day without knowing which classroom she will be substituting in. She shows up with a smile and meets whatever needs are at hand, doing more than asked for students and staff at Coronado. Thank you, Carla, for making a difference. Abby Doherty, Public Information Specialist at the district office. Abby worked closely with Huesner leadership to create posters that embody the school's vision, mission, and guiding principles. She elevated the project by lending her creativity, incorporating brand colors, and collaborating throughout the process. Thank you for making a difference, Abby. Darcy Brown, Facility Manager at South High School. In early January, Darcy Brown witnessed a contractor who was working at South High become accidentally buried alive. Darcy's quick and calm actions were instrumental in the search and rescue response and saving a life. He worked closely with emergency responders, the City of Salina, and department personnel to make the scene safe for the rescuers and the victim. Darcy's actions demonstrate his admirable virtue and reflect the highest ideals of the Maintenance and Operations Department. Thank you, Darcy, for making a difference. Adam Bonilla, Family Sports Specialist at Oakdale Elementary School. Adam excels at building relationships with students, families, and staff. His friendly smiles and sincere words have a positive impact on everyone at Oakdale. He advocates for students, is unfailingly willing to help with any situation, and is incredibly dependable. Thank you for making a difference, Adam.
Next, we have the Horizon Awards recognitions.
Teachers who have demonstrated excellence during their first full year of teaching are nominated to be District Horizon teachers. From that pool of nominations, 1 elementary teacher has been chosen. We are proud to announce this year's Horizon Award recipient, Hernan Hernandez. Hernan, now in his 2nd year as teacher of 3rd grade at Schilling Elementary School, creates meaningful, lasting relationships with his students and families. He helped start a student council at Schilling and received the September Teacher Appreciation Award. I'd like to introduce Hernan Hernandez.
Okay, so I'm kind of nervous, but I want to start off by saying thank you. I never thought that I would be receiving an award like this, and so early in my career. I am very honored to have received this Horizon Award. I feel like I am here because I ask myself, what is my why when it comes to teaching? When I began 6th, 7th grade, around that age, I knew I wanted to help others, but I didn't know how. After some finding out of trying nursing or trying other jobs around that I felt would help others, I came to find out that that wasn't for me. Then I met the right people, and meeting the right people helped me get back into school and finish my degree to become a teacher. Now that I am where I am grateful for those people that I've met, and you guys know who you are. And I'm grateful that I am where I am now, and I know I still have more to go. I am someone who believed that once you set your mind to things, you can get things done. And not only that, but those who believed in me helped me gain my confidence to grow, and I am still growing. Being called mom or dad by your children is normal, but being called mom and dad by your students just hits you different. I take pride in knowing that my students know that I care for them not only as students, but as people. Knowing that they are comfortable tells me I am doing my job correctly. A caring teacher will never be forgotten. I still remember my 3rd grade teacher, Mr. Ingram, from Riley Elementary in Great Bend, who went out of his way to make sure that I made it to a local fair, science fair that we had in town. I made that science fair because of him. So my why is my passion for teaching. We may not reach all of our students, which is something that I have learned the hard way my first 2 years of teaching. But I have also learned that remembering my why can help me reach almost all of my students as best as I can. No matter what race, no matter what gender, no matter tall, small, short, whatever they are, I can help them grow, and I can help them reach or see or be an example to those students who think they cannot do more than maybe a fast food job or something like that. I am the example that they can see that if they get their education, they can end up getting awards. Thank you.
In recognition of the award, Hernan's picture has been placed in the hallway outside of this room. We present an engraved plaque and an apple pin for this recognition. Congratulations.
Next on the agenda is the master teacher recognition.
Members of NEA Salina selected Kevin Poland, social studies teacher at South High School, as Salina Public Schools 2023 master teacher. Kevin is in his 15th year of teaching at South High. He is a member of NEA and the Kansas Exemplary Educators Network. Excuse me. Kevin is compassionate, hardworking, connects with his students, and teaches them how to be empathetic and educated students. It is my honor to invite Kevin to the podium to share some remarks.
When I entered South High 15 years ago, I really didn't know what was going to come in those 15 years. We've been teaching through a lot of adversity, teaching through a building under construction, and that brought a tremendous amount of surprises, teaching through COVID. And through it all, there have been some hills and valleys. And the one thing that has kept me going is the faculty and students that surround me every day. I'm very blessed to receive this award, and I'm honored by NEA Salina, but I truly feel very undeserving because it's the faculty at South High and across the district that really keeps us going. It's a community that lifts each other up through the adversities, that celebrates together. And I've been lucky at South High to have had some wonderful leadership, and I've been blessed at South High to have amazing colleagues. Our department, the history department at South High, has remained the same for the last 10 years. And I think that's absolutely remarkable that I've been able to share the last decade with the same people. And we've truly become family. So I'm honored and very grateful to receive this award. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin's picture has been placed outside this boardroom alongside other outstanding educators, and we present to you a marble apple as a memento of this honor. Congratulations.
Next on the agenda is the Superintendent's Excellence Awards. Lots of them.
Tonight, pictures of our students will be taken by Faith Rost, student photographer intern from Central High. We appreciate your efforts. Thank you, Faith. Our first group of awards goes to the two band qualifiers from Central High School who made it into the Kansas Music Educator Association's KMEA State Instrumental Ensembles. The students will be performing at the KMEA All-State Concerts on February 25th at the Century 2 Convention Center in Wichita. Guillermo Rodriguez is the Central High Band Director. Please join Superintendent Exline. As I call your name, please step towards Superintendent Exline. All-State Band, Corbin Banninger, freshman, State Percussion. Sam Cusick, senior, State Jazz Tenor, Saxophone.
Good job, keep playing. Keep making music. Thank you for what you do.
Our next group of awards goes to choir qualifiers at South High School. Eddie Creer Jr. is the vocal music director. Will you please join Superintendent Exline in the front? And will all the South Choir students please line up next to them? Kirsten Lamaya, Jr., Emily Streeter, Jr., Adrian Aranda, Sr. Please allow the Board of Education to congratulate you now. Next, we recognize choir qualifiers at Central High School. Ryan Holmquist is the vocal music director. Will you please join Superintendent Exline? Please line up, all the Central Choir students next to them. As I read your name, please step toward Superintendent Exline, and when you received your certificate, please step toward the end of the line and remain standing. All state choir. First, let's add, the following students will also be performing on February 25th in Wichita as part of the KMEA All-State Concerts. All-State Choir, Chloe Chesney, senior, 3-year medalist. Allison Kuykendall, senior. Xander Flanner, junior. Chloe Highsmith, senior, 3-year medalist. Audrey Jagodzinski, senior. Tage Jones, senior. Harper Johnston, senior, 3-year medalist, also made it into the International Honor Choir, which performed at Carnegie Hall on February 5th. Jackson Rutz, Jr. Bryn Shaft, sophomore. Please allow the Board of Education to congratulate you now. Our next award goes to this orchestra qualifier at South High School. Tyler Cooter is the orchestra director. Will you and Alina Arcio please join Superintendent Exline in the front? Okay. Thank you, Mark. Yes, this is a very busy time of year with lots of activities. So, our next group of awards goes to orchestra qualifiers at Central High School. Lindsay Modine is the orchestra director. Will you please join Superintendent Exline in the front? And will all the Central Orchestra students please line up next to them? Olivia Gubavera, Jr., second-year participant, full orchestra viola. Armando Duran, senior, string orchestra violin. We now recognize theater state qualifiers at South High School. Kate Lindsay is the South High Theater Director. Will you please join Superintendent Exline in the front? And will all the South Theater students please line up next to them? As I call your name, please step towards Superintendent Exline so you can receive your award. Salina South's Thespian Troupe received several honors at the 2023 Kansas State Thespian Festival. They once again received a Gold Honor Troupe Award for successfully completing the set of criteria, which includes community service activities, fundraisers, touring productions, and other activities. Thespian troupe members are Melina Zinlar, senior. Emily Streeter, junior. Caitlin Geist, junior. Jacqueline Fisher, senior. Isabel Greenmeyer, junior. And we'll read the last three names as well. Megan Graff, junior, Isabel Fulkerson, sophomore, and Aubrey Powell, senior. Melina Zinlar and Emily Streeter also served as state board officers. Emily Streeter was also selected to be a state thespian officer for next year. Congratulations. Our next group of awards goes to Theater State qualifiers at Central High School. Barb Hilt is the theater director. Will you please join Superintendent Exline in the front, and will all the Central Theater students please line up next to them? Students, as I call your name, please step towards Superintendent Exline so you can receive your award. After you've received this certificate, please go to the end of the line and remain standing. Thank you. Central High's Thespian Troupe also earned the Gold Honor Troupe Award, as well as first place in the Chapter Select 1 acts for their student-directed performance of Trifles by Susan Glassbell. They have been chosen to perform at the International Thespian Festival in June at the University of Indiana, Bloomington. Thespian troupe members are Benjamin Campbell, Jr., Chloe Highsmith, Senior, Director of Trifles, Chloe also received one of only 10 scholarships given at the festival. Harper Johnston, Senior, Michelle Simmons, Jr., Kashia Peterson, Jr., Nathan Goldback, sophomore, Camille Morris, senior, stage manager for Trifles, Tage Jones, senior, Chloe Vega, sophomore, Alyssa Maas, sophomore, Bryn Shaft, sophomore, Blaze Alderson, senior, Catherine White, junior, Adeline Jagodinsky, freshman, Cadence Lane, senior, Jada Rasmussen, sophomore, Andrew Graber, freshman, Mac Shaforjan, freshman, Jackson Angel, Senior. Wyatt Angel, freshman. Lynn Miller, junior. Shia Helzer, junior. Gabrielle Friedland, freshman. Madison Burnt, freshman. Ellie Reichoff, freshman. Mary Brown Morales, freshman. Anna Kraft, freshman. Michaela Dixon, senior. Dante Martinez, senior. Chloe Highsmith, Keisha Peterson, Andrew Graber, and Bryn Schaff served as state board officers. Harper Johnston served as a state thespian officer. Please allow the Board of Education to congratulate you now. Next, we recognize debate state qualifiers at South High School. The debate team is coached by Daniel Dawson. Will you please join Superintendent Exline in the front, and will all the South debate students please line up next to them? Mr. Dawson. All right. So students' names begin with Ava Williamson, senior, Francisco Guadardo, senior, Elizabeth Lovett, sophomore, Lillian Artist, junior, Kaizen Snow, sophomore, and Grady Smith, sophomore. Please allow the Board of Education to congratulate you. Our next group of awards goes to debate state qualifiers at Central High School. The debate team is coached by Emma Webb, but she was not able to be here tonight. Lexi Ellerbeck is here in her place. Will you please join Superintendent Exline? And will all the Central debate students please line up next to them? As I call your name, please step towards Superintendent Exline so you can receive your award. Genesis Wilson, Sr. Nehemiah Gomendoza, Jr. Keegan Madison, Jr. Olivia Owings, sophomore. Macy Wisby, sophomore. Please allow the Board of Education to congratulate you. And our last group of awards this evening goes to Art State Qualifiers at Central High School. Central High School art teachers with honorees are Larry Cullens and Kirsten Dykes. Will you please join Superintendent Exline in the front? And will all the Central art students please line up next to them? As I call your name, please step towards Superintendent Exline. Central High art students were honored at the prestigious 2023 Scholastic Art Awards at Wichita's Mary R. Koch Arts Center, Mark Arts. The exhibit opened Friday, February 10th, and will be on view until March 25th. With nearly 100 schools participating, Central placed 7th overall in the state of Kansas and 2nd in Class 5A with the number of awards Central students earned. Helena Lundberg, Jr., Gold Key. Beatrice Wellbrock Talley, Sr., Silver Key, and 2 honorable mentions. Brooke McWhorter, Sr., Silver Key, and an honorable mention. Chelsea Rossi Lewin, Sr., Silver Key. Lainey Borrego, Sr., honorable mention. Tiara Guerin, Sr., honorable mention. Camila Lopez Galindo, Sr., honorable mention. Isabel Rydell, Jr., honorable mention. Faith Ross, Sr., honorable mention. Our photographer. Oh, there again. Mariah Prophet, Jr., honorable mention. Emery Darby, Jr., honorable mention. Linnea Gadsden, Jr., honorable mention. Please allow the Board of Education to congratulate you now.
Thank you all for coming. All right. We will continue with our agenda here, which is not nearly as exciting as all that. The approval of the consent agenda items is next, and the consent agenda items includes the following. The minutes of the January 10th, 2023 regular meeting, personnel reports, financial reports, which includes the January bills list, the December treasurer's report, December investment report, December journal entries, approving encumbrance listings as follows: to Johnson Controls in the amount of $24,094.63 for the purchase of additional cameras at Central High and additional door card readers at South Middle and South High. To Century Business Systems in the amount of $128,800.98 for the annual cost of the copier service agreements for general use and Heartland programs. We are approving the Heartland kitchen and classroom renovation bid to Ponton Construction in the amount of $723,481. This project is grant funded. We are approving the Heartland flooring bid to Country Carpet in the amount of $143,320. Approve the food service heavy-duty floor mixer bid to Sunflower Restaurant Supply Company in the amount of $35,854. Approving audit contract with Agler and Gator Chartered in the amount of $20,750 for the year ended June 30th, 2023. Approving South High softball fundraising activity for their annual chicken noodle dinner event scheduled for April 2nd, 2023. Approving Kansas preschool pilot grant application in the amount of $189,800. Approving the Kansas State Department of Education professional development grant application in the amount of $6,000. And approving the Saline County American Rescue Plan Act grant application in the amount of $170,997. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Madam President, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Bandry. Second, do I hear a second? Mr. Grant seconds. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda items as presented. Any discussion? Then all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 7-0. Next on the agenda is the public forum, and I don't believe we've had anybody request to speak. And on the action agenda, we are starting with the bond refinancing with Greg Varenberg.
Good evening, board members. Greg Varenberg with Raymond James. Nothing clears out a boardroom like an agenda item labeled bond refinancing. But hopefully I have good news for you. And as many of you may know, I've been fortunate to work with you for about 25 years now and on the bond issues for the district. And as we have found opportunities, sometimes it's low interest rate environment or it's a unique approach to capturing savings for the district, the board has taken action to lock in a savings. And it's a pretty impressive cumulative amount when you look at that. We've had 11 different bond refinancings since 2001, and the total amount of savings is about $12.2 million. The savings has ranged from, but the smallest one was $216,000, but the largest refinancing was the Series 2019 issue that we helped you with. Had savings of $5,086,000. And one of the unique aspects of that 2019 issue was that some tax laws had changed. The IRS rules had changed related to bond refinancing, and those bonds were issued as taxable bonds. In other words, the interest to an investor was subject to federal income taxation, a little different than a traditional tax-exempt issue. But we were still able to capture a sizable amount of savings just because of the low interest rate environment. But another unique aspect of the IRS rules is that during this calendar year, the district will have the ability to issue tax-exempt refunding bonds to refinance that 2019 issue. And so we've been looking at that, knowing that that opportunity may present itself. We've been looking at the 2019 issue to see if we could ever capture a savings. But one of the challenges related to that 2019 issue is that we don't have a call feature or a prepayment feature that allows us to refinance those bonds immediately. The first available prepayment date is about 5 or 6 years from now. And so there is an approach that we could use where we actually go out to the bond investors, offer them a price at which the bonds will be bought back from those investors, and we issue new tax-exempt refunding bonds to pay off those 2019 bonds that are tendered or offered for sale back to the district. The challenging part about that is that we don't have a legal provision in the bond documents where we can force those bond investors to tender the bonds. But if we can get some of those investors to offer those bonds back to the district, then we issue new bonds at a lower interest rate and can lock in a savings. So the numbers that we have run show that the bonds that we would be buying back would effectively be bought back at a price that equates to a yield of about 4%. And the estimated interest rate on the new bonds would be 3%. So we're capturing about a 1% differential there, and that's what is driving the savings. So we ran some calculations, and if we can get all of the bonds tendered back in, then the savings to the district could be as much as $4,796,000, which is pretty exciting when you think about it. You were able to capture $5 million in savings in 2019, and now we might even be able to add to that. But I don't want to create false hopes. I mean, we're really at the mercy of those investors. If we have half of the bonds tendered back, then the savings would be roughly half of that amount, and so on. So the request or the information presented to you this evening is that if this is something that you want us to explore, your bond attorney, Gilmore and Bell, has prepared an authorizing resolution that does nothing more than give us permission to go have those conversations with investors, see what we can put together, see if there's a savings that would be attractive enough to bring back to the board for consideration. And if we go through that process and we contact investors and we just can't get any of them to tender their bonds back, or if the amount is just too small, then there's no cost to the district for exploring this. But given the magnitude of the potential savings, we wanted to make you aware of this opportunity, see if it is something you want us to explore, and if so, the action that you would take would be the adoption of that authorizing resolution. And if we are able to put together a reasonable amount of savings, then we would bring that. We handled the original sale of the bonds in 2019, and so we know the investors that were originally purchased the issue. But bond investors can and often do. They may buy a bond initially and then need to sell it a year later, so they can change hands. But once we can actually go through the records of the depository trust company, find out who the new bondholders are. But it could be as many as 30 or 40 different investors, and it could be, holding principal amounts of, say, 100,000 or 200,000 in bonds, all the way up to several million. And so what we're really trying to find is, especially those larger institutional investors like an insurance company or a mutual fund, they may be the most likely ones that would be willing to sell their bonds back. And the sale price at which it would be back would be a slight premium to where the market is, so they would view that as a positive from their perspective. And then we'll just have to see, if we can identify all of the investors and which ones might consider that.
Jim?
Just so that I understand, if the bonds are sold and reissued, are they reissued under the same terms of the bonds that were being bought back?
Same term, like in terms of the repayment period? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so there's no need to extend the repayment or refinancing. When we do a bond refinancing, and even all of those prior ones that I had mentioned, it's not like a home loan where you're taking out, a new 30-year loan. We actually, if we're refinancing bonds that have a principal payment in year 10, then we replace them with new bonds that have a principal payment in that same year 10. So we wouldn't be extending the repayment. We would be looking to just any portion that we can buy back, we would replace in that same year, just at a lower interest rate.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion? We've got a, yes, Dr. Bander.
Madam President, I move we approve the resolution for the Series 2023 General Obligation Refunding Bonds as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Grant is seconding. Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Then all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, yes. All right. Next is are the calendars, the 2023-24 school calendar and the 24-25 tentative school calendar with Ms. Exline.
Okay, so let's start with the 2023-24 school calendar. This is a calendar that you tentatively approved last year, and the calendar committee met. We reviewed what we had suggested to you last year, and there are no changes from what you tentatively approved. So if you do give this final approval, then at that point, we will set parent-teacher conference dates and be able to communicate out to families what the calendar is for next school year.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion on this 23-24 calendar?
Madam President, I move we approve the 2023-2024 school calendar as presented.
Mr. Grant moves. Do we have a second? Ms. Casso seconds. Any more discussion on this? Thank you. Then all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 7-0. And on to the 23-24 calendar. Is that the wrong one? Yes, it's the wrong one. 24-25.
Okay, so it seems like a long time from now, but it will be here quickly. So for the 24-25 school calendar, the calendar committee talked about just mirroring what you just approved for the following year. So the big changes really that people may not be anticipating are that there are a couple days that the calendar committee recommended scheduling in second semester that would be days where we are not in school. One is the day immediately after the Super Bowl, and then the other is a day in April. And both of those at a time of year that is a long stretch without breaks just gives a little break and hopefully rejuvenates students and adults and gives families some family time. And so our recommendation would be that you give tentative approval for this so that we can get it on our website. Parents can know what we are thinking, and then we'll bring it back to you again next year for final approval.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion for the tentative 24-25 calendar?
One quick question.
Yes. Oh.
On the list of days, the no school day in April, there's one typo on there.
Oh, yeah,
So would
it's on the,
fix that.
That
but
should be the 21st,
Right.
not the 221st.
That's what I think.
Yes,
So
that
with-
would be a long time from now.
With that, I would move we approve the tentative calendar for 24-25 with that one little correction.
thank you. Do I have a second? Bonnie seconds. It's been moved and seconded to approve the tentative 2024-2025 school calendar. Any more discussion? Then all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 7-0. Thank you. Next is the modified meeting resolution with Ms. Exline.
This is a request to move our board meeting that was originally scheduled on June 13th, the second Tuesday, to June 6th. And the reason is that I will be out of town on the 13th, and I would really like to be here for the board meeting. And so we are proposing that we make that adjustment to our regularly scheduled meeting.
And we would like you to be here. Most of us would at least, I think. Okay, do I hear a motion on this one? Mark?
As it happens, it affects me as well, so I would like to move that we approve the resolution to establish regular meeting dates with the June 13th, 23 meeting replaced with June 6th, 23 as presented.
Thank you. Second, do I hear a second? Scott seconds, okay. Been moved and seconded to approve to move that June 13th date to June 6th. Any more discussion? Then all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 7-0. Thank you very much. The next on the agenda is the board policy with Ms. Wright.
At our last board meeting, you held a work session where we reviewed the first round of policy changes for recommended changes for this season. We bring back tonight for a second reading of those, and the only substantive change that was made from that packet was your choice of one of two options at the end of policy KN. You'll see that in red of your packet on how to sort of reference other policies related to complaints in the district at the end of that policy. And what you chose is, your preference is listed there tonight. Do any of you have any questions related to the policies after discussion from last time? We recommend your approval of these amendments.
Do I hear a motion to approve the policy revisions as presented? Mr. Grant moves. Do I have a second? Ms. Casso seconds. Any other discussion? Then all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on the list is Curtis Stevens with course proposals.
All right, good evening. I want to start off tonight just briefly thanking the board for the progressive measures you've taken over the past few years with the inclusion of our PolyCat program and a lot of concurrent and dual and blended credit opportunities for our students. And tonight I bring forward several proposals with regards to those programs. The first one being the dental assistant program proposal. David Cooper is a treasure chest of information, and he has been working with my offices trying to calculate and get ideas of where we're seeing labor needs in our community and across the state. But the dental assistant program has also always been at Salina Area Tech. It has not been accessible to our students until this proposal, if the board wishes to approve it. What it would allow our students to do is to take 3 introductory courses. The specific one's Introduction to Anatomy and Physiology, which is a 2-credit-hour course, Dental Anatomy, and Dental Practice Management. These 3 courses for our seniors could enroll into those programs, and it would allow them to have the opportunity then to continue in that program after they graduate from high school. So this is an area that originally the labor projections showed that there was a decrease in the need, and as we have found out in the last year from 2016 and on, the need has actually climbed quite a bit. And in looking across the state of Kansas right now, there are 142 openings for dental hygienist, dental assistant support staff. And locally, there are about 60 openings that are going to be happening. And when we looked at our Zello data from the individual plan of study with our students, we found that there were 60 students locally interested in expressing interest in this program. So one of the reasons why when we're talking about kind of retaining our youth in our community, keeping our programs relevant and vibrant and working with labor as well as what the needs are in the community, this is kind of offered by Salina Area Tech in response to that. And if you want, I can continue to the next course proposal. I don't know if you want to act on them as a group. We have the second set, if that's okay.
I'd say go ahead.
Okay. And that is the Kansas State University dual credit course. They have added a course called Humanities Through the Art. And basically, if the board approves this, our students will be able to take it for dual credit, in addition to the 110 plus courses that are currently offered as a part of PolyCat's package that you all approved 2 years ago. One thing I do want to note on this is the savings that have been passed to our students and our families. I did a preliminary calculation of the last 2 years. We have looked at probably about $300,000 in saved tuition from local patrons in Salina. When you look at K-State, when you look at Bethany, and add in their Salina Area Tech courses as well. So this is a tremendous opportunity for our students. But the Humanities Through Arts, basically this course would be dual credit if approved. It is just a simple general introduction to humanities, focusing on the way they are and the basic importance. It includes painting, sculpture, architecture, literature, drama, music, dance, film, and photography that is explored through that lens. So those are the 2 courses that, or the 2 programs rather, that we're looking at tonight in the course proposals. Those 3 dental introductory courses for the dental assistant program with Salina Area Tech, and K-State University's dual credit course, Humanities Through the Arts. Are there any questions on these two proposals?
Do you know if that course counts as like a K-State 8?
In terms of being an interdisciplinary course, all of these classes are stackable. So they would account for that. It does not in terms of, for funding purposes, Senate Bill 155, for example, won't pay for that course. But it does count towards stackable credits in the humanities with all of our Regent schools in Kansas.
Any other discussion? Yes, Mark?
I just wanted to note, I appreciate the dental hygiene program. I like things like this that save people time, like the Bethany Intro to Ed class that we approved last year. If you take this, you have access to other classes even in advance, beyond what we've agreed on. So I think these are tremendous, and I appreciate all the work to bring additional opportunities in there.
And I also wanted to note that our students that do have a financial hardship, the last 3 years we have had a local organization contribute money for a micro scholarship for the first time college class that's taken. The first year we had $2,000 that was handed out in $250 increments. That was balanced between Central and South. The next year it went to $4,000, and this year it's $10,000 that have been sent out. In students that take like a class that Senate Bill 155 funded, that money, they can still apply for it, but it doesn't, they won't take the money for that since the state's covering it. However, if they want to apply for that again, they still can use it one other time if they have not actually used the amount that was in there. And our counselors at Central and South serve on a committee, and they've been able to help a lot of students that have that financial need to have access. That can also be used for Saline Area Tech, K-State, Bethany, any of the partnerships that we have through the district.
I had a question. Isn't it a new thing that they're having a dental care clinic that happens from Salina Tech? Is that part of this? Maybe not. but
So
maybe have to-
just to kind of give you an idea, these courses are simply the introductory courses. So our students, because there's certain age requirements to do some of the hands-on things like x-rays, that kind of stuff, that has to come after they've reached 18 and graduated. But these would simply be kind of what Dr. Bandry was alluding to, that jump start to get going on it. Having said that, we do have students in our internships that serve in a variety of medical facilities, one of them being dental offices, where they get a chance to go and job shadow and have the ability to kind of learn what happens in a dental office beyond just sitting in the chair that we're unfortunately sometimes accustomed to. So,
Okay.
Madam President,
Yes, Jim.
I move that we approve the course proposals for the dental assistance program at Saline Area Tech and KSU dual credit courses as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion, and Mark seconds. Sorry, my computer's doing funny things here. Any discussion? No? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you. And Dr. Stevens, summer school welding.
okay, so kind of continuing the theme of looking at labor projections, the North Central Kansas Technical Task Force projected in 2016 that welding careers would grow 9%. And thus far, by 2023, it has already exceeded that projection. Currently, in the city of Salina, there are 72 welding jobs that are open. We've had a lot of opportunities with our counselors and our administrators. We toured Catron, Vortex, Great Plains last year, Tony's Pizza. Sometimes people think of Tony's Pizza, it's just pizza, but it's a city in of itself with all kinds of careers, welding being one of them. And so as we looked at that, the projection numbers with it, we also looked at our enrollment in 305, and we have had just a substantial increase in enrollment, and that's attributed to the hard work of Mr. Dow as well as Mrs. Wild at Central High School. And looking at specifically Metals 2, that class, we've reached capacity. We are teaching in ELO as well. So in a need to try to address the labor demand that exists, as well as allow students that opportunity to kind of jumpstart and work towards Metals 2, we would offer the summer school welding proposal. This would take place from May 30th, June 30th at Central High School, and the course would be from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. We do have a teacher incredibly excited to offer this. We've asked for some initial student interest, and as of today, we have 18 students interested in doing that. One of the cool things about this is if it is approved, students are able to progress, and what we're really watching to do, and what we're wanting to do with this approval, is get students into this idea of Diploma Plus, so that senior year, they can engage in internships and work-based experiences. The state of Kansas legislature last year changed the liability law, and we're trying to make sure that the public is aware of that, as well as business owners, that the liability is basically minimized for the employer to take on student interns as well as work-based experience individuals. And with that, we already have 4 students, for example, working with a local business during their senior year. And so this would allow, if approved, those students to progress through welding. It would allow us to meet our demand in our increases in enrollment, as well as have some agility in terms of meeting the local labor demand that's taking place with North Central Kansas. I think the number that it eventually was projected at, it was supposed to be like 880 for North Central Kansas, and at the rate we're going, it's going to be 1,100. Not to mention those that are retiring and stepping away from the profession. So this would allow us to have that opportunity to do it if the board agrees to that proposal. Are there any questions?
No questions? Do I have a motion? Gabe,
I move we approve the summer school welding class as presented.
I have a motion. You have, Dana seconds. It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Then all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Dr. Stevens. That was our action agenda. Now we go on to our discussion agenda with Mr. Upson with the South High Softball Complex. And some softball guys.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce Kenny Hancock from Baseball Enterprises and Charles Renz from Jones Gillum Renz. The purpose of this agenda item is to re-inform the board on the work that's been going on for probably close to a decade when you look at the fundraising and everything that's gone into it. But I'd like Kenny Hancock to go over what has been done to date for baseball and for softball, and kind of some projections and things that he's thinking about in the future.
Are you going to run that for us? Yeah. Great. Okay, all right. Well, thanks for letting us be here tonight. I am representing Salina Baseball Enterprises. We thought it'd be a nice opportunity for the newer board members that have never met anyone from Salina Baseball to see a face, and we wanted to have the opportunity to talk about the teaming arrangement that we have had with 305 over the past several years, and we're gonna highlight the projects that some of you at least have seen at Dean Evans and Salina South that's ongoing right now. It wasn't quite 10 years, but in 2017, Salina Baseball had a vision to renovate Dean Evans Stadium, and we'll get to this in a moment, but we actually had built the original Dean Evans Stadium in the early 90s. We wanted to renovate it. It was in horrible shape. We purposefully approached Chris about being a teaming partner with Salina Baseball. We said we would raise $4 million, and we would go to the city and ask them to do a $4 million raise, and they would do half the project, an $8 million project, and we would do the other half. COVID hit, the city of Salina backed out. We did not want to, so I appreciate Lynn Exline and Chris Upson having faith in us and being willing to move forward, and we think it's been a great project so far. So some of you might not know who Salina Baseball is. I got a brief history here. We were established in 1984 when Salina did not have a place to play baseball. They tore down the old Blue Jay Stadium for the Bicentennial Center, and we decided it was time that we changed that. And we are the successor organization to a philanthropist named Dean Evans. If you haven't lived here all of your life, you may not know about Dean Evans, but he was probably the original, most generous philanthropist that I've ever known in my lifetime in the city. And of course, the stadium is named Dean Evans Stadium after him. We've had a 20-year plus partnership with the city on multiple facilities, certainly with Dean. We're currently sponsoring five baseball teams, ages 14 to 18, and about 65 Salina youth are working and participating in our programs. We're an accredited 501c3 nonprofit, 13-member board of directors, of which I am one. And as I said earlier, we built the original Dean Evans Stadium in 1991, and we're very proud that we did the renovations in 2021 with the generous help of USD 305. Let's talk a little bit about the phase one, and then we'll get into, after we get through with these, we're going to show you some before and after photos. They're pretty stark, and in my opinion, we're very proud of it. And then we'll end with what we see as the future. Phase one is we wanted to construct new premier baseball and softball stadiums. You notice that our name is Salina Baseball, but there are several of us on the board that have a long history with softball as well. So we didn't think it would be fair to let softball not be included in this. And turns out softball got the better end of the deal. They got 2 stadiums instead of 1, so we're proud of that. We fully turfed the stadiums. If you haven't been out to these fields, and if you're not a softball or baseball fan, just go out and take a look at them. They are absolutely incredible. Significant upgrades to the fields itself, including the dugouts and bullpens. And the bullpens are out on the field, and they're really a big league situation we have there. And just recently, we renovated the old concession stand that had been sitting idle for about 10 years, turned it into a women's handicap accessible toilet, and we added a umpire dressing room. And it was a big deal for us to do that because umpires are in short supply, much like welders, and it's hard to get umpires to come and umpire your games. But now we have a very much easier time of getting umpires that want to come work our games because there's a changing room. Before, everyone changed in the back of their car. If it was raining, it was miserable. Now they have an air-conditioned and heated place with their own private way of getting away from the occasional parent and a shower if they need to. So here's some before and after of Dean Evans Stadium. If you haven't been there, don't worry. We have some before photos first. This is what Dean Evans Stadium looked like right before we elected to undertake this project. As you can see, the wall back there has just layer upon layer of peeling paint. It was just an absolute eyesore. The playing field was brutal. It was, as a matter of fact, Kansas Wesleyan, who also plays there, they had their opponents ask if they could play it on a neutral field because they just hated coming to Dean Evans Stadium because it had deteriorated so bad. Here's what it looks like now that we've completed it. You'll see we built a viewing area right behind home plate. It's a very popular place to sit and watch a baseball game. Fully turfed field. Go to the next one. Here's the dugout, pretty bad shape. Benches were broken. There's the new dugout with a protection screen. Thanks to Chris and USD 305 group, they built these incredible dugout benches, both for here and over at South High School. Here's an aerial view of the original Dean Evans. You can see it was grass, and it looked good from this height. And here's the new view with the flawless turf field that everyone gets to play on. And here is what this used to be the concession area. Now it is a women's handicap toilet and much nicer than it used to be. The renovations included fully turf playing surfaces, dugouts. One of the things we did that we hadn't planned on when we were doing what was called soil stabilization, which means you make the soil so that it doesn't differentially sink on you once you've put the turf down. We ended up digging into the direct buried 480 volt lighting system that was powering the lights. We shouldn't have done that because the electrical codes require it to be 24 inches deep. We found it as shallow as 4 inches. So there was multiple 480 volt lines that over the course of the next several years, if somebody in a wet condition with steel cleats on it, it could have been very ugly. Cost us $40-some thousand. We elected to, obviously, and we We put extra conduits in, and they were buried 4 feet deep, so well out of harm's way, and they're conduit, not direct buried. We added the seating pavilion, a stadium entrance, and ticket booth. They're out there if you've seen that. New security fencing, and of course the toilet upgrades that we talked about. Now on to South High softball. I actually have quite a connection at South High. When I was through playing college and summer pro baseball, I started playing men's fast pitch softball. And when they started softball in 1991, a close friend of mine, the original coach named Darrell Holting, who coached there for 20 years, asked me if I would consider being the pitching coach, since that's what I was part of in men's league. So I ended up being the pitching coach at South High for roughly 22 years. So when we needed a place to put new softball fields, and the city had backed out, I said to myself, you know, Darrell and myself and several volunteers built the original softball fields in '94, I believe it was. And so that's when we approached Chris. Would we be available to use them? And the answer obviously was yes. So fully turfed playing surfaces, this will be the 3rd season. All the fencing was new. We didn't keep any of the old fencing. New dugouts. The seating areas are excellent now. Covered grandstand and press box, which is new for this upcoming season. LED lighting was installed, and which is new. Accommodations for live streaming, and which is currently under construction and scheduled to be complete in, I think, March of '23. Upcoming is the new toilet, umpire dressing. Is that still on schedule? Do we know?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. What do you need to hear, right? Okay. Tell me what I want to hear. Okay. Next slide.
In some form.
In some form, okay. So here's some aerial pictures of it. Both fields we turfed. You know, as a side note, we were only going to fully turf the varsity field, which is on the left, which is south, and we were going to turf the infield on the JV field. But we built a great relationship with the successful bidder on this project, and the bids that they gave us were so incredible, we went ahead and turfed both fields, which was the right thing to do, in my opinion. Never going to have a rain out there. Might have a lightning out, but we won't have a rain out. Another close-up of the area, showing those wonderful dugout benches, thanks to Chris and his group. And you can see the construction going on in the background there that is ongoing right now. Just another aerial shot. Pay no attention to the right field in the varsity field where the lights aren't showing. There was, I think, a programming error is all that was. Next steps in our vision. What we would like to do is, because we have a huge need in Salina for having more than one field. We have a lot of people that have approached us from outside of Salina. They want to bring tournaments into town, and not just 4- and 5-team tournaments, but 15- and 20-team tournaments. You really can't do that with one field, even if it is turfed. We have already approached the city about, we would like to do the same thing that we did at Dean Evans at James Matson Field, which is the field the farthest north, thank you. It's one of those two, had to be. And it already has at least a small concession area and restrooms. We would renovate that, but we would fully turf it. Bullpens, just like at Dean Evans, batting cages, all new dugouts. We'd start from square one. A grandstand and a press box, much like at South High School. More fan seating. And depending on the level of fundraising, if we're successful enough, we want to add a 3rd field with the infield only turf for practice and then for overflow games. So here's an aerial shot of James Matson right now. And as you can see, the bleachers are bad, the backstop is bad, and the ticket booth right there, or I guess that isn't a ticket booth, that's a scorekeeper's table. It's quite frankly rotting before our eyes. Next slide will show you the dugout, which just needs to be torn down and started from scratch. Here is and this one's actually in pretty good shape. We would just renovate this. I don't anticipate that we would add an umpire dressing room here. It's a short golf cart ride down to Dean Evans, and they could use that. So that's what our vision is. That's where we're at right now, and we're hoping to include USD 305 as our teaming partner again. It was a very purposeful teaming arrangement. We think it's been successful, and we'd like to do it again at least one more time.
Questions? Yes.
Kenny, how do you guys address concessions over at Dean Evans?
Oh, good question. What we did is during the renovation, we added power poles, 3 of them. And so nobody seems to want to operate a concession stand anymore, at least not in this area. And we talked to some of the concessionaires. They didn't want to do it, but they did want to use their coaches, and they bring their portable ones in. So we put standing power. They no longer have to have generators. We accommodated them with plug-ins that they can just plug their units in. We put a rolling gate in that's 14 feet or 16 feet wide. They back their trailers in, and we serve from those.
Food trucks.
Food trucks, yes.
Jim, do you have something?
Yeah, I remember going through this originally, there were
Yeah.
many conversations, but one of the things was scheduling with rain. We'd have between Kansas Wesleyan and all these other things that it would create multiple problems. Has that cleaned up?
It really is. I haven't heard of any rainouts at all, and the only thing that stops it is if it's raining during the game itself or right at that moment. Lightning will stop it, of course, but the field was designed to handle 40 inches per hour of rain, and if you have 40 inches per hour of rain, you've got a lot of other problems rather than playing baseball. Being an engineer, a mechanical engineer myself, during the worst rains that we've had in the last 3 years, I'd get my car and drive out with an umbrella and walk, and the field is still, it's not dry because it's getting rained on, but there is no puddles whatsoever. So there's literally no rainouts have occurred that I'm aware of.
I had opportunity to serve as a citizen on the Parks and Rec Board from 2016 to 2020, so I
Yeah.
remember some of the original presentations on this as well. And
Yeah.
it's really nice to see the after pictures. I came onto this board just at the time that some of the financing was being approved, so it's just nice to see the community and the entities work together, and as you all bring things forward, we'll certainly keep on trying to approve those as best we can.
Yeah,
I assume you'll have Mr. Renz on the field giving lessons in the process too, so
Well,
we'll work on that.
I don't know about, maybe golf lessons, I'm not sure softball's his thing, but maybe. Okay. Yeah, we are really proud of the relationship that Salina Baseball and USD 305 have had, and I think the success is in the facilities that we've got. You know, you may have heard this, but last year at this time, well, not this time, but last year in May at the state tournament for the 4A state tournament, it was pouring down rain as it often does. Dean Evans wasn't going to be a problem. It was going to clear up, and in 30 minutes later you can play. Well, Bill Burke was its typical muddy, unplayable mess, and they were talking, the Acacia was talking about moving the state tournament out of Salina because they had no place to play. So Visit Salina called me and said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Call Chris Upson. He and I have had this discussion many times. I guarantee you he's going to say yes," and he did. And they moved it over to South. And if any of you happen to drive by there during that state tournament, it was ants on an anthill. It was incredible. I was running the field maintenance for the district, and I was standing behind a group of people. There's about 4 or 5 rows in front of me. It was standing room only, and I heard a couple of dads say, "How in the free world does a school district have 2 fully turfed stadiums and all we have is a crappy old dirt field that gets rained out all the time?" And they said, "We better never have to play at Bill Burke again." So I think it's a permanent fixture now for the 4A state tournament. And because of that, we won't have lost the 4A baseball and softball. They go together. If one leaves, they both leave. So I think it actually saved the 4A state tournament from being moved out of Salina.
You didn't comment on it, but I'm just curious, as far as the PA system, are we looking at doing something that's more permanent than the rolling in and out of the ones that's currently done over at South High?
We are, yes. Yeah, there'll be permanent speakers and a permanent PA system in the new press box that it's out there now. Yeah.
I had a question about Matson and the extra fields. Was that part of the, if the city were still in on it, was that additional stuff that would have been done because they were in on this? Or is that just our future hopes and dreams anyway?
Great question. Our original plan was to do 4 infields over at Bill Burke, and there was a method behind our madness. We thought if we got the public a taste of 4 turfed infields, they would rally and say we want them all done. So there were 4 infields at Bill Burke, Dean Evans, 2 softball fields, and a second baseball stadium. So the second baseball stadium was always in our original $8 million plan. And when we decided to take on Dean Evans ourselves and fully turf 2 fields at South, that became our $4 million commitment. And the original baseball stadium was going to be ours, but the softball was going to be the city's. We had to change that when they backed out because we wanted to have baseball and softball equal at that time. So in answer to your question, a second baseball stadium, fully turfed, was always in the plan. Yeah, we're just coming back now. And we're not going to ask the city for any money. It will be entirely privately raised funds, just like we did at Dean Evans.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Nope, and I don't think we need any action on this today. Is that right? Right, just to review.
All right, thank you
Okay.
very much, appreciate it.
Thank you, Katie. All right, on to the school board reports and upcoming dates of importance, which include Tuesday, April 11th, the Salina Education Foundation reception here, right here, at 4 o'clock. Sunday, May 7th is the retirement recognition at Lakewood at 3 o'clock. Sunday, May 14th are the graduations at Tony's Pizza Event Center. The South High graduation is at 2 and the Central High graduation is at 5. And then on Thursday, June 22nd is the Salina Adult Education Center graduation at 7 p.m. Do we know where that is? Not yet, okay. I think we'll start down with Mark on the school board reports.
It's a fairly busy month. I had opportunity to represent you all on the calendar committee, and what we voted on, it speaks for itself. But I do just want to say what a great conversation it was. I mean, this was representatives from all the different buildings around town, people that know each other but don't see each other every day necessarily, and they really worked together in a really good collegial fashion. So I stayed quiet. I did thank everybody for their work afterwards on behalf of you all, but I really enjoyed that opportunity. This year, one of the things that Mr. Fletcher and Ms. Zimmerman appointed me to was the District Health and Wellness Committee. You'll recall I lightheartedly said that due to illness that was canceled in the fall, but we did meet earlier about 2 weeks ago, and frankly, I didn't really know what to expect. I wasn't exactly sure what our focus was, but what the committee spent a lot of time doing was reviewing things that have taken place in the district over the last year plus, and for me, it was really informative. Dana, you probably know all these numbers, but they really went through the school marathons at some length and touted the number of different statistics. And one young man, I believe from Stewart, that had actually completed 4 marathons over the course of time. It was really interesting to learn more about that. We talked about after-school snack programs, about national school lunch programs and community support. So it was a good group, and it wasn't just USD 305 people there. There were people there from the Cancer Center and representing CKCIE. It was a nice group and a good discussion overall. I gave away 2 of the You Make a Difference awards, and one of these was exciting. On my way to Coronado, I was in a car wreck. So the first call I had to make was to Tyler to say, hey, I'm going to be late. But the good thing about this was, one, fortunately, nobody was hurt. Neither the person, it was not my fault, by the way, the person who hit me, nor I. Both were fine. Insurance worked perfectly. My car is now out in the street, having been through the body shop. A successful venture. But the really cool thing about it, me being a half hour late, meant that Tyler got to take me into Miss Lukarski during a meeting, as opposed to her just coming to the office. So wandered the halls of Coronado back to the library where there was a meeting going on, and I was able to give her the award in front of I think there were 30 teachers in there, and not only were they thrilled, but she was almost in tears over the award, so that was really fun. And then the second Make a Difference award was to, in Jennifer's office, Abby, right out here in the hallway. I did it just before the Health and Wellness Committee meeting, so that was neat. It was just Jennifer and Abby and I in the office, but I think she appreciated it, so it was nice to have that opportunity. Let's see, Smoky Hill Education Service Center met last Thursday. I was telling Lisa earlier, I think we've known for a while that Diane Mann was working her way towards retirement. One of the things Smoky Hill did in the last several weeks was approve administrator contracts going forward. So Diane's is just kind of a part-time one going through now to September. So we'll see what happens come to September, but I think that might be her coup de grace, and she's continuing trying to work at passing on knowledge, which is a really important thing for Smoky Hill. we're fortunate that Mr. Monomog is staying around, and Darla is as well, so feel pretty good there. I'm digging through my stack here. Oh, for Smoky Hill, we also approved the audited reports, of which I gave Lisa a copy of that, so we can check through those as needed. And I think that's what I did, but if I forgot something, I reserve the right to raise my hand. How's that sound?
Thank you. Scott, what have you got?
I don't have that much. Heartland is still functioning, still needs help, so anything that we can do to help them will be greatly appreciated. Also got to go to some of the SIT tournament to watch the kids play. I was a little frustrated because I didn't go to the first days of games, so I don't know who won. And so then I went to the website to try to find out who won. There was nothing there I could find. So I ended up having to call parents to find out who won and where they played. And then when I got to I got to Kansas Wesleyan, my wife and I were asking, well, who won? And the people sitting at the table, they didn't know. And so it was frustrating in that way, but I was able to get to see 3 of the 4 schools, or 3 of the 4 teams get to play, and so that was very nice. And it's amazing that even the cheer teams and all of that, how enthusiastic they are, regardless of what the score is. I'm just very proud of those kids in their endeavors trying to move forward. So just wish that we had a little bit more information for people trying to get out to watch those kids perform.
Thank you. Jim?
Yeah, got to give Darcy Brown the You Make a Difference Award at South High, and a couple of foundation meetings, and that's about it.
Dana?
I attended a CKCIE meeting and we toured the transitions program. Jeff, can you remind me where we were last year numbers and where we are this year?
Last year, we were between 5 and 6, and this year we are at 20.
Yeah.
Next year, we're projecting 26.
So big things are happening there. So if you get a chance to go there, they cooked. I didn't get to eat it. I was super bummed, but they did a really nice job. So that's it.
Thank you. Gabe?
I also attended the transitions tour with the CKCIE Board of Control. I will attend a Salina Ed Foundation meeting tomorrow.
Bonnie?
Okay. I attended the Parks and Rec Board meeting, and I watched the new Human Growth Development video, which was good. And then after going through all the needs assessment things and reading all the programs in place and the struggles and the frustrations that teachers have, I realize, teachers inside that have the greatest capacity to love kids and to love to watch them learn. So since it's February the 14th, I have a tribute for all those that are involved in our education system, our teachers, our paras, our administrators, the superintendent, counselors, custodians, the cooks, the bus drivers, and all the employees that make up District 305. This is your tribute. You are incredibly patient. You are gentle and consistently kind to all. You refuse to be jealous when blessings come to someone else, and you do not demand your own way. You are not easily irritated or quick to take offense. You joyfully celebrate honesty and find no delight in what is wrong. You are a safe place of shelter, for you never stop believing the best of others. You never take failure as defeat, for love never gives up. That's 1 Corinthians 13. So as a board, I speak for all of you. We thank you for your love, or whoever's watching, love for your young people and love for teaching. And we thank you for your sacrifice, your time, your energy, and for not giving up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I gave out a You Make a Difference Award to Mr. Adam Bonilla, the family support worker at Oakdale, and we gave it out in the lunchroom as a bunch of kids came in for lunch. And the interesting thing to me, he seemed very touched by it, but about 4 different employees came up to me or off in the background were saying, "It's about time he got that award." And they were all saying it without knowing the others said it. So it was really impressive that everyone was so happy to have Mr. Bonilla get that award. I did a bunch of Salina Arts and Humanities school programs. Let's see, where are we? In the middle of February. I did 26 Kansas Day programs and lost my voice, and too bad about that. And one American Revolutionary War songs program. And I attended the Chamber of Commerce Board meeting. Salina's economy has come roaring back at the end of COVID, and events and motel stays are all higher than expected. So that was encouraging. And they announced about the Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge, which is going to happen. The finals are soon. I forget when it is. I also watched the health video for the elementary kids, and I thought it was interesting and good. Parks and Rec Advisory Board, the tennis facility is ready to open, and they talked about naming rights for the clubhouse. And I attended the SPS chat about early childhood. It was great information, and it was mostly our staff, but it was an interesting evening. So thank you, Ms. Exline, for that. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Okay, just have a couple updates. I've had, in the last month, 3 of the chats, the one that President Zimmerman mentioned, and then I met with a group of representative teachers, and several of the things that came out when we did our initial listening sessions as concerns came out as positives this time. So that was a real celebration. And then I met with the students at Central, and those are always some of my favorite meetings to engage with the kids. So good feedback there that I shared then with their building administration. On the legislative side, I did have the opportunity to meet with Representative Howe, Sanders, and Kincannon, and also Senator Clays to go over the legislative platform that you approved at the last meeting, and also engaged with the KASB Advocacy Network. And then finally, in the last week and a half, I have submitted testimony to 2 different committees at the state level. One was the House K-12 Education Budget Committee, and the other is the Senate Committee on Education. Both testimonies were related to funding for special education. And so that is something that is in our platform as well.
And I understand you came up with that testimony in a very short time.
Well, and I am so thankful that we have a great team, because that was not a Lynn Exline creation. It really was a group of us working together to turn that around in just a few hours. So we had short notice, but boy, we can rise to the challenge. On the school safety side, our school leaders are continuing to work on a threat assessment training, and that is something we're engaging in together and we'll be continuing to do over the next several months. I did meet with the new chief of police today, and we talked about how we can engage the Salina Police Department, our SROs, in that threat assessment as well, and I was really excited about some of the conversation that we had about how we can partner to make our schools a safer place and to really serve our kids well. And then we did release safety video number 3. The video number 4 is in the works. I saw the tentative script on my desk right before I came in here. So we do have spring conferences tomorrow in the evening, and then all day on the 16th. I'm hoping the weather holds. And then on the 17th, there is no school, and staff will be out of the office. So.
Thank you. The Heartland Early Education update is on the agenda. We're not going to go over it. The next thing on the agenda is executive sessions, 2 personnel sessions. So for the first one, how much time do we need?
Let's do 10 minutes.
10 minutes for the first personnel Jim.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Education go into executive session at 7:10 for 10 minutes for the purpose of discussing the contractual obligations of non-elected personnel, because if this matter were discussed in open session, it might invade the privacy of those discussed, and the Board of Education reconvene in open session at 7:20 in the SEC room.
Do I have a second? Gabe seconds, been moved and seconded. Any discussion? None. Raise your right hand if you approve. Motion carried, 7-0. Let's go, 7:10. We are back in session here, and we have some motions from the executive session. We'll start with Dr. Bandry.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Education approve the early resignation of Kylie Bonnell and that we assess the $3,000 in liquidated damages pursuant to the terms of the negotiated agreement.
Do I have a second? Second, Scott seconds, and any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 7-0. Another motion, Gabe?
Madam President, I move the Board of Education approve the 2 employee requests for extended health leave pursuant to the terms of the negotiated agreement through the end of the 2022-2023 school year.
So we don't need to have names for that? Nope, okay. Do I have a second? Jim, seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 7-0.
Madam
Thank you.
President,
Yes, Jim.
I move the Board of Education go into executive session at 7:30 for 20 minutes for the purpose of discussing the evaluation of non-elected personnel, because if this matter were discussed in open session, it might invade the privacy of those discussed, and that the Board of Education reconvene into open session at 7:55 in the SEC room.
Gabe, seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, 7-0. Thank you. We need a little more time. So, Jim, what you got for us?
Madam President, I move that the Board of Education go into executive session at 7:57 for 15 minutes for the purpose of discussing the evaluation of non-elected personnel. Because if this matter were discussed in open session, it might invade the privacy of those discussed. And that the Board of Education reconvene into open session at
10 after? 8:10?
8:11
Oh, yeah, right.
in the SEC room.
Something like that.
Wait, because it was 57.
So
and
it was,
15
so
minutes.
it's 12 after?
8:12.
Yeah, good. I knew that, but, okay, we have a motion. You have a second?
Not new math counting in 5.
Second by Gabe. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried 4-0. We are back in session, but we are ending the live stream now, so thank you for all your patience.